Okay, this is 5-4, solving radical equations, day 1. So solve the equation, check for extraneous solutions. Extraneous meaning extra. If you had a solution that really didn't work out mathematically, you'd get an answer. But if you tried checking, like plugging the number you get for x into the equation, you wouldn't get the answer. It wouldn't come out right. I know there's at least one extraneous solution for a problem on here, and I'll talk about it when I get to it. So number 1, the square root is isolated. It's on one side by itself, one side of the equation by itself. So the opposite of square root is square, so I'm going to square both sides. So that leaves me x is equal to 20 squared. 20 squared is 400, so x is 400. Number 2, my term with my square root is not isolated. And remember that x to the 1/2 is the square root of x. So I'm going to subtract the 2 over. That way I have my square root on one side by itself. So now it kind of looks like number 1, the square root is by itself on one side. So I can square both sides. And the square and the square root leave me the 2x. 2 squared is 4. So now I have 2x equals 4. So I'm going to divide by 2, and I'd have x. And x is 2. Remember to check your answers. So on the first one, the square root of 400 is 20, so that one was really simple to check. Here, when I have something kind of long and drawn out, if I put in 2, I better get 4 out. So 2 times 2 is 4, the square root of 4 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4. So this one works out. And if you're kind of pressed for time, just put it in the calculator and check your answer. So number 4, again, if that 1/2 is bothering you, just rewrite it as a square root. And the square root is isolated, so I'm going to square both sides. So b plus 12 equals 25, so I'm going to subtract 12. And I get 13. So 13 plus 12 is 25. The square root of 25 is 5. So that one works out. So this one, my square root is not isolated. I need to subtract 7 first. Now my square root is isolated, so I can square both sides. So now I'm going to add 4. I get 5z equals 13. So now when I divide by 5, I won't get an integer, a whole number. But that's fine. Z is 13/5, or 2.6. So on the test, you most likely would have one like this, and it would be one of those grittables. We'd have to bubble in 2.6. And if I put this back in, it'd be easier if I had a fraction when I checked my answer. So 5 times 13/5 would leave me 13. Because if I'm multiplying by 5 and dividing by 5, those would cancel out. Those would simplify to just leave me the numerator, 13. So 13 minus 4 is 9. The square root of 9 is 3. 3 plus 7 gives me 10. So this one works out. and you could easily check it on the calculator if you needed to. So number 7, if you can't see, that's 7 plus the square root of 3x equals 5. So I need to subtract 7 from both sides, and I get the square root of 3x equals negative 2. This should kind of throw up a red flag in your mind. The square root equals a negative. Because the square root, the parent function, square root of x, starts at 0, 0 and increases, so it's never negative. But mathematically, you get an answer that needs to be inside. So it's negative 2 squared, which is 4. So you get x to be 4/3. And if you check that, you plug in 4/3 in there, so 3 times 4/3. 3 and the 3 would cancel, and you get 7 plus the square root of 4 equals 5. Square root of 4 is 2, so you get 7 plus 2 equals 5. That gives you 9 equals 5, put a slash to that. 9 is not equal to 5. So 4/3, that's extraneous. If you worked it out, you got an answer, but the answer does not check. So it's called extraneous. The root of that word is extra. So you should have had no solution, but you got one, and that one you got was extra. Number 10 has a lot going on, but you do not want to deal with this to start. You want to work as far away from x as you can, because you're trying to get to x, but you got to start near the equal sign. So you're subtracting 6, so you're going to add 6. So you can bring that term down. And then you're on the outside of the parentheses, working your way into the parentheses. But you have to move that out of your way. So that equals 5. So now I have my radical term isolated, my square root. So I can square both sides. Everything inside carries down. Then 5 squared is 25. So now I can subtract 7. Then divide by 3. So when I put 6 back in there, that's going to be 18. 18 plus 7 is 25. The square root of 25 is 5. So 2 times 5 is 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. So 6 does work out.